Welcome back, boys and girls. Today we have a very fun project. We have a TRX450 frame that is bent and needs to be straightened. And this is kind of an experimental project to see if we can bring this thing back to life, because we want these quads to survive and race another day. So this is going to be a very quick video. I'm just going to kind of show what I'm looking for before I attempt to straighten this thing. So I've done a few measurements already. I'm going to walk you through some of my observations, because with the naked eye you can't really see it. When this frame is standing up on its back here, you can see it bent a little bit. Okay guys, I decided to stand it up and put some levels on here to show you exactly what I see or saw, simply because I figured if I didn't show you and I just waved a torch on it and burnt some paint off, you wouldn't believe that it was actually bent and that I'm just doing a bunch of hocus pocus. So here we go. So this level's on the back. I have the frame standing on its back right now, and you can see that that level is as close to parallel to this back beam as possible, and it is currently level because this table's level. So the back is level, and yeah, it's proper. It's where it should be. So now we come back around here and I have a standing level that is very close to level. Let's get it perfect. Let's move it over here. Let's get the top set to up there. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so this is centered and level, and watch as we scan up. I'm going to move it. Let's kind of zoom out as well, so you can see it's like a hip out of alignment before you go to the chiropractor. This top was kicked this way. Here, I should do it like this. Kicked like that, and the front was tilted over. So the whole thing is, instead of straight, it went like that in an exaggerated manner. And you can barely see it up against this straight edge. And it's just way too obvious. The owner of this frame was going to start building his 450 this off season, and he saw it standing there. He was getting it ready to build, and he said, "Oh crap, that looks not good." So even he could see it without having a straight edge up against it. So other than that, you wouldn't suspect that anything's wrong with this frame, and it's actually quite screwed up. So I'm going to show you what I have found, because I needed to make some determinations on exactly how it's bent, how it's twisted, in order for me to make a decision on how I'm going to move it back in the opposite direction and put it back to where it used to be, or hopefully close to it. So I don't know if you can tell looking straight down the shaft, but it is, or straight down the frame here, it is slightly bent in the front. And I say slightly, but if I stood it up, you'd see it. And there's some other obvious signs I want to point out. If you look at the gaps in these webs here, so you have this top plate here. This one here, this gap is relatively close, and against this pillar it's very close. Over here, it's moved away a ton, and there's a giant gap here. So even though these welds haven't broken, this whole thing has stretched quite a bit from the way it was hit. There's also a kink right here. It's hard to see. It might be hard to see with the camera, but when the lighting's just right, you can see it's got a slight little bubble here, whereas on the opposite side it does not. That is one of the main giveaways. So yeah, essentially I'll tell you exactly what's what. The front of the frame is kicked in like that at this point. This is the main pivot area right here where it's bent. So I don't know how far off these two pillars are, but the bending point is definitely mostly here. And instead of just guessing, I had to come up with some numbers on where or how much it's moved. So I measured from here, the inside of this plate at the halfway point, middle of the hole, to the inside of this hole on the swing arm pivot bolt. So I measured there to here, and from the same hole to here. On this side, this distance, we have 25 1/8 inches. And to this one, we have 33 15/16. I took sweet time and measured these numerous times, many times, to make sure I wasn't getting it wrong, because I knew being this close to the frame, any slight number was going to be a mistake if I didn't get it, if I wasn't very accurate. So originally I asked the owner of this frame to give me a set of A-arms so I could exaggerate that dimension out here and measure from a specific point on the end of the A-arm on like a flat surface to this hole. But I don't have the A-arms yet. He's going to be bringing them to me, but I'm actually going to attempt to move this thing without those A-arms first. And if I got to go back and move it again, no problem, so be it. So again, 25 1/8, 33 15/16 compared to this side. I did the same measurement from here and here to the inside or front inside of the swing arm bolt hole. And we have 25 3/8 compared to 34 1/4. So I'll tell you these comparisons so in case you don't remember. The opposite side is 25 1/8. This is 25 3/8. So this side has moved out ever so slightly, 1/4 of an inch, which jives. It does make sense. And then this one, or the opposite side here, is 33 15/16. This is 34 1/4. So that moved, 5/16 of an inch. So again, that moved a fair amount. And we do want to see a number that is, I'm sorry, I keep putting my hand here. We do want this number to be greater than this number, which it is. It's about a 1/16 more. So I was very careful in measuring that to make that determination. So I got to figure out a whole method for where and how to brace the frame, where to let it move so it can essentially swing back and bend back to its original state, where to apply heat, all that jazz. So much to do, and I'll bring you guys back either when I'm in the middle of it or after I'm done and we take some measurements. So okay, straightening is done. So I ended up doing exactly what I had planned. It all kind of worked out. I just had to use way more pressure than I anticipated. Well, I guess not so much anticipated, but hoped. So I hoped it was going to move a little bit easier than it did, and it didn't. So I had to really encourage this thing to move. But that's a good testament to how tough this thing is. So I'll run you guys through some of these measurements again and show you what's going on. So let me grab my measuring tape. And this was another, when I started getting right down to the end of like splitting hairs, I had this thing on and off the brace many times to press it, and then I had to let it cool, and then I had to remeasure. This was one of the methods I used when I was starting to get really close. Because some of these side measurements, like to the top here, because this straightened out so much, this was less off than this, and now it was just how much this hip adjustment, so to speak, had to move over. So I started using this method, and if we get down in here nitty gritty, we're like 1 1/16 of an inch, and this side is close. It's hard to get the center of the tube there, but it's about 1 1/8. It's about 1 1/8. So depending on how much you center or where you center this, we're really close. We're within a 1/16 of an inch. And I know some people might take issue with that, but trust me, I had this thing in and out of the jig numerous times and was really pushing on it. Like I mentioned a moment ago, it was kind of tilted, so we had to get this to swing back up this way as we were pushing that side. It is as straight as I think I could get it, and it's so close to the point now where I can't really find dimensions that don't that aren't super close. Here, I'll measure these. I'll measure these and I'll give you the new numbers. I just did it a minute ago, but I didn't write them down. So I'm going to write them down, and then I'll show you guys. And I'm not putting this stupid camera on a stand, so we're just going to do it the simple way. I wrote the numbers down. And I promise you, I'm not fudging the numbers. They are the same on both sides, because I spent so much time at the shop with the heat and the press, pushing it and then letting it cool. I kept the pressure on, then I let it cool, and then I'd take it out, I'd relieve the pressure, and it would move way back. It had so much rebound and spring back to it. So I did that a bunch of times, and then I just very slowly walked my way towards the center of these numbers. So 25 1/4, it's the same on the other side. That's from here, middle, inside of this plate, to this, the back side of this hole, or I should say front side of the swing arm pivot arm bolt hole. And then same for this bracket here. And this is 34 inches. 34 on the other side. So that was as even as I could get it, and that's why I started to really hunker down on these dimensions here, from center to center. So it's about as good as it's going to get. I'm going to stand it up right now for you guys and show you what it looks like standing up, because before it was pretty obvious. Here we go. So if we center it there, we center it there, and we center it at the top. So I know I don't have the level on there, but I did this to show that you don't need the level, because this table is very close to level, but the farther you get away from it, the more exaggerated your error gets, and it can draw focus on the wrong issue. So we can't have more than 2 points out of alignment. So the fact that the bottom is centered and the top is centered and the middle falls right in the center as well shows that everything eventually straightened out. And I've shown you enough numbers to show that it's as close as I think it's going to get. If somebody can do a better job, awesome. You know, hats off to them. But I'm very proud of getting it this close. And I'm looking forward to seeing if this thing's going to end up on the track this coming year at MOXC. So one little issue with doing the work here, I'll show you, is because I had to press it so hard, I cracked this part of the weld, the heat affected zone of this weld right here. You can barely see it. It started to crack, and that's okay. I'll just clean it up. I'll put a little TIG bead on there and call it a day, and everybody will be happy. So that should be good. And I'm going to tell this dude, if you're going to run it, you got to gusset the frame. And he should have me gusset it, because that's what I do. Just so there's added rigidity and strength, and you know, this is kind of the heart of the frame. And running the heat into it, I didn't get it glowing red in any spot. I made sure not to do that. But even if I did reach recrystallization temperature, it wouldn't really affect the tubing very much. It's low, very low alloy, very low carbon, and it's not going to be that much of an issue having a heat affected zone, so to speak, from the heat applied. But we did move it. It was bent from getting hit, so this frame's been through a lot. And I would almost demand that if this be used, it be gusseted, which I think is going to be his plan when he builds one anyway. So, you never know. I might be showing you a video in the near future on me gusseting this, which is the plan anyway. I got this one, which is my current project. I'll have a video on that soon. And then 2 others for gusseting and some other work. So a lot of framework going on right now. So this one might come right back into my garage. In fact, I might just stay here, and he might just send me the gusset kit. So, oh yeah, and I got another one, another Honda on top of this one coming as well for gusseting. So send all your crap to me, guys. So we've straightened this frame. I'm very happy with it. It looks good. Even these 2 holes that I mentioned, I didn't touch this. I didn't press anything here. I didn't do any of that. And even these holes have, this one has ended up in a far better location. It's hard to really measure that, but it looks almost exactly where it's supposed to be. I don't know, maybe it should be down a little more. It's hard to say. It's so much back to where it was where I wouldn't be able to notice. So I'm gonna look forward to the feedback from the owner on how the build goes, if things are out of alignment or what, which I don't think they will be, but I'm looking forward to that feedback. So there you go, guys. TRX450 frame straightened and hopefully back in action for all you Honda guys out there. And before I let you go, I did figure out why this frame bent and what the weak spot is, what the issue is with this design. Because it's a Honda. So because Honda designed it this way, it bends right in that area. I don't know if it's common. But the answer is, it's just because these guys go fast. If you own a Honda, you're probably a fast guy. So Yamaha might not be bending their crap as much because we're slow on Yamahas. So hats off to these guys running Hondas, and they're smacking trees that much faster than the rest of us, and that's why these bend. And that's just part of the game, and we got to keep them alive. So I'm going to put a little weld on here, and then it's going back to the customer. And like I said, it might be staying here, it might be putting gussets on it. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for walking through all this with me.